In Lies of P, a series of perfect guards directly weakens the enemy. Each successful perfect guard increases the enemy's stagger level, eventually allowing you to perform a fatal attack. At its core, the combat system is built around accumulating stagger, similar to Sekiro's Shadows Die Twice, where you must break the enemy's posture to remove a health bar or finish them off entirely. The combat system in Lies of P is often mistakenly compared to Bloodborne, but in practice, it is much closer to Sekiro. Here, perfect defense and parrying play a key role, while dodging acts more as a secondary tool. It's important to understand that the perfect guard window in Lies of P is significantly stricter. For comparison, in Sekiro, the perfect parry window is approximately 12 to 15 frames at 60 FPS, giving the player a relatively comfortable reaction window. In Lies of P, however, the perfect guard window is much smaller, on average around 8 frames. This makes the mechanic far more demanding in terms of timing. After a series of perfect guards and attacks, the enemy enters a weakened state. You can recognize this moment by the enemy's health bar. It begins to glow white. At this point, the enemy becomes vulnerable. By using a charged heavy attack, you can fully stagger them and land a critical hit, dealing massive damage. Now, let's take a closer look at how to properly deflect enemy attacks to achieve perfect parries. It's crucial to understand that if the block button is pressed even 1 frame too early or 1 frame too late, the perfect guard will fail. During combat, you must focus your attention on the enemy's limbs. At the very last moment, exactly when the enemy's hand touches your character, you need to press the block button. Now pay close attention to the exact moment I press the block button. Watch the character's arms and the animation where they cross just before the enemy's attack connects. The perfect guard window is the same for all enemies and bosses. Next, let's look at another enemy attack and the precise timing of the block input. Focus on the arm crossing animation as the boss's attack approaches. In addition to bosses, the game features dangerous and extremely fast enemies. For example, this enemy uses rapid attack combos, as well as a fast gap-closing attack to instantly reach the player. In this case, the most effective strategy is perfect guarding, and it's also important to stay as close to the enemy as possible. When fighting this enemy, it's critical to focus on their weapon. At the very last moment, just before the club touches your character, you must press the block button. Watch the enemy's limbs, in this case the club itself. If you press block even 1 frame too early or 1 frame too late, the perfect guard will fail and your character will take damage. By performing a series of perfect guards, you can not only completely avoid damage, but also break the enemy's weapon. Often strong enemies and bosses use red attacks. These attacks deal damage even through a normal block, and dodging is usually ineffective against them. There is only one way to avoid damage from such attacks, by performing a perfect parry. When fighting this boss, it's especially important to follow the rules mentioned earlier. A common mistake is focusing on the boss's torso or trying to deal as much damage as possible as quickly as possible. Instead, you must focus on the boss's limbs and press the block button at the very last moment. Pay attention to the exact moment I press the block button to perfectly deflect the series of side attacks, as well as the overhead attack. Watch when the boss's limbs approach the character and the timing of the arm crossing animation when the block input is made. In the second phase of the fight, the boss gains additional attacks. For example, to avoid damage from this attack, you must immediately, as soon as the boss glows red, run away or dodge backward, pressing the dodge button several times. A grab cannot be perfectly guarded or blocked, so you must dodge at the very last moment to avoid the grab and the extremely high damage it deals, almost 80% of your total health. You can also avoid the grab by creating enough distance from the boss in advance. Additionally, the game features a mechanic called perfect dodge. At the very last moment, when the enemy's weapon touches your character, you can press the dodge button. However, I do not recommend using this technique. In terms of execution difficulty, it is just as demanding as perfect parrying, while being largely ineffective. Unlike perfect parrying, a perfect dodge deals no damage, does not reduce the enemy's stagger, and only allows you to avoid damage. As a result, I recommend relying primarily on perfect parries and using perfect dodges in rare, unavoidable situations. Perfect guarding is the key to success in Lies of P. By mastering perfect parries, you can efficiently defeat any enemy or boss without taking damage, break their weapons, and land critical hits far more frequently. I also recommend checking out my full no-damage playthrough of the complete game. You can find it via the link in the video description or in the pinned comment.